Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Digital Amicus. My name is Abdul Latif Qazi. I am the co-founder at Digital Amicus. Digital Amicus is an online platform that's dedicated to legal education and providing services to law students and young lawyers. इसी सिलसिले में हमने आज का पहला वेबिनार अनाउंस किया है जिसका बहुत ज़्यादा रेलेवेंस है फॉर यंग लॉयर्स as well as young law students and young practitioners. This session is about the Fulbright scholarship. बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं जो स्कॉलरशिप्स ढूंढते हैं हम सब की तरह फॉर मास्टर्स ताकि उनका करियर जो है वो एनहांस हो सके एंड आई थिंक फुलब्राइट स्कॉलरशिप इज द लार्जेस्ट यूएस फंडेड स्कॉलरशिप्स इन पाकिस्तान और इसमें बहुत सारे लॉ स्टूडेंट्स हर साल जाते हैं, हर साल मास्टर्स परस्यू करते हैं अमेरिका में और फिर वापस आते हैं टू सर्व देयर कंट्री. This is one of the best and highly recommended scholarships which are out there. और उसी सिलसिले में today we have a distinguished panel with us. Both of them are Fulbrighters और इन्होंने they have been very kind to give us their time for this session so that people who are applying this year and in the years to come वो इनकी advice से और इनके experience से फायदा उठा सकें. So first off we have Ms. Fargana Ansari. Ms. Fargana Ansari is joining us from Islamabad. She is a lawyer who completed her BA LLB from Quaid-e-Azam University in 2019. She has completed also her master's in English literature. She will be pursuing her LLM at Harvard Law School on the Fulbright scholarship starting fall 2020. Currently, she is a research associate at the Research Society of International Law and also serves as the research associate at the Center of Excellence for International Law Institute of Strategic Studies, Research and Analysis at the National Defense University. Also with us, we have Mr. Fakhruddin Walika. He is joining us from Karachi. He is also a Fulbrighter. ये अभी अपनी LLM complete करके Columbia Law School से वापस आए हैं. इनका profile is he has done his BA LLB honors from Lahore University of Management Sciences, where he represented his university at several international moot court competitions and conferences. He practiced law in Karachi for 2 years, where he worked on complex disputes. इन्होंने अपनी LLM Columbia Law School से इस मई में complete की है with a Parker certificate in international and comparative law. So Fargana and Fakhruddin, thank you so very much for being with Digital Amicus today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So first of all, we'd like to know your story. आपकी story, आपका Fulbright experience कैसा था? आपने law school के बाद कितना gap लिया to apply for the Fulbright scholarship? आप litigation में थे, academics में थे या फिर corporate law में थे? और आपकी पूरी Fulbright journey कैसे थी? I would like to start with Fakhruddin, जो कि इस पूरे process से गुजर के अब माशाल्लाह he holds a masters from Columbia. So Fakhruddin, what was your experience like?
So graduating from law school in 2017, I started working in Karachi at a law firm then known as MCAS & W, which was the former Attorney General Mr. Munir Malik's law firm. While I was working, तब से I knew that eventually I do want to go for my postgraduate studies. I do want to go for my masters. Fulbright scholarship का भी पता था क्योंकि मेरे एक बैचमेट को उसी साल award हो गई थी, for which he went to NYU. But he was a gold medalist from my batch, so I'm like, अच्छा मेरा तो मुश्किल ही है, but फिर भी apply कर लेना चाहिए, मेहनत कर लेनी चाहिए. Then the law firm I worked at, वहाँ पे भी कुछ Fulbright scholars थे from Columbia, from Cornell Law School. So I knew that this is something I want to work towards, but it seemed very unrealistic at that point due to various reasons. It's so competitive, it's so difficult. Nevertheless, 1 year into working, I took the plunge. I gave my GRE while working full-time, and I applied for the Fulbright scholarship. Because the process is a year long, jo lagta hai, so I ended up getting selected. September mein you find out that if you've been shortlisted for the interviews, and then within I think 3-4 days you have to go to Islamabad, take the interview, and then a month later you find out if you've actually made the cut. So it's in October 2018 that I found out that I was privileged and fortunate enough to get selected for the Fulbright scholarship. Now that's just one stage. फिर होता है आपकी कौन सी universities में apply कर रहे हैं, कौन सी university में आपको भेजते हैं, because that's something which is not a decision that you make on your own. but it's something in which Fulbright plays a very integral role. And I think this is something prospective applicants should be aware of, because when they're applying and making their grad school plans, they don't know about this. And then later on, they realize, oh, I'm not being sent to my dream university, even though I've gained admission in it. So ये पूरा process चलता है, which can take months. And then in 2019 August, I finally started my LLM at Columbia. I'm not sure if you want me to build up on that experience right now, or do you?
Go ahead. I mean, why not?
Sure. So I think what's really cool about Fulbright is, and in terms of the opportunity and platform it provides you, it not only is a scholarship in terms of paying for your university, but the platform which you have when you're in the United States in itself. So when I was in New York, due to Fulbright, I had access to various events, various networking opportunities. वहाँ पे खुद से न्यूयॉर्क में पूरी फुलब्राइट की कम्युनिटी है. फुलब्राइट पाकिस्तान की तो अलग कम्युनिटी है, बट फुलब्राइट ग्लोबल की भी कम्युनिटी है, बिकॉज the Fulbright scholarship program is not just for Pakistan, it's all around the world. So you get to meet brilliant people like yourself from different fields, not just law, from all over the world. Then Fulbright has a lot of conferences when you're in the United States as well. So I had the chance to go to Kansas once for a Fulbright Pakistan conference seminar. And then another time I got selected to go to Nashville, Tennessee for another Fulbright conference. So it really stays with you till the end. And even after graduating, there's a Fulbright alumni network, which you're a part of. You get to meet and network with like-minded people who are doing amazing things in their own respective fields. So it's just a great platform to be part of.
Well, thank you for sharing your entire experience. और there's just this good news जो कि मैं हमारे सारे viewers को बताना चाहता हूँ कि Fulbright की जो पहले deadline थी, that was 15 July. So after Fakhruddin has mentioned his experience, I would like to break it down. कि वो deadline has been extended by a week, and now the new deadline is 22nd of July. So please make the most out of this webinar and the advice that you're going to get from Fargana and Fakhruddin. So, Fargana, on that note, coming to you, how was your Fulbright application experience like? आपने law school से कब graduate किया, उसके बाद आपने कब जो है कौन से area में आपने काम किया, and how did you end up applying for the program?
Okay. Thanks, Saqib. What I can start with is by saying कि मैंने graduate तो मैंने 2019 में किया, so just last year. पर मेरा ये था कि मैंने उससे पहले what I did was I've done my law from Qaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, and उसका वो first ever batch था जो 2018 में graduate हुआ था, और 2018 में ही मैंने भी graduate करना था, पर मेरे साथ ये हुआ था. So before the Fulbright, I've also been on the Global UGrad scholarship. That's a semester exchange scholarship by the US Department of State. तो वो वाली जो scholarship थी,
Sorry, that was also in your undergrad?
That was in my undergrad. So basically, it's a semester exchange program that you go to the US for one semester. It's fully funded by the US Department of State. I went in 2017. When I went there, तो उससे ये हुआ कि उसकी वजह से when I came back, वहाँ पे क्योंकि law school is after undergrad, तो मैं pre-law में enroll हुई थी वहाँ पे. तो all my credits that I did there, they weren't transferred here. So जिसकी वजह से I had to delay a semester further, and that's why I didn't graduate in 2018. I graduated in 2019. But I think that was like a big blessing in disguise for me, especially in terms of me getting my Fulbright scholarship, because I had a lot of time to figure out कि मैंने क्या करना है. तो उसमें ये हुआ कि when I had this gap of 6 months जिसमें मेरा कोई course नहीं था, कोई university नहीं थी, that's when I started working इधर उधर. पहले मैंने ICRC में internship की, International Committee of the Red Cross, क्योंकि मुझे बस figure out करना था कि मेरे aims, मेरे interests क्या हैं. तो उस वक्त मैंने वहाँ पे internship की. उसके बाद फिर जब ये वाला break आया तो I started interning at this law firm, फजले गनी Advocates. वहाँ वो litigation firm थी, वहाँ पे मैंने litigation का काम थोड़ा बहुत सीखा. And then ये सारा करके, and then I finally graduated in 2019. And when I graduated, उससे पहले ही I had started working on my Fulbright application. Because as we all know, आजकल जुलाई में ये deadline आ जाती है. But generally, and this I'd like to point out for this year's graduates specifically, generally तो ये rule होता है कि you can provide your transcripts by December of that year, and if you can, then you're still eligible to apply in that cycle. But for this year, they've changed that rule just for this year because of the COVID-19, I think. उन्होंने कहा है कि अगर आपको जुलाई 20th या 22nd, whichever the date is, उस तक अगर आपने अप्लाई करते हुए अपनी फाइनल ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स भी नहीं दी तो यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल. सो दिस इज जस्ट वन चेंज दैट दे हैव मेड दिस ईयर. But anyway, तो मेरा ये था कि I hadn't graduated per se, but then I worked on my application at that time. By that time, I'd worked in a litigation firm. I'd worked at ICRC. I had realized that my interest is more towards public international law, human rights law, all of that. तो इसलिए फिर मैंने तब जब तक अब मैंने अप्लाई करना शुरू किया तब तक फिर मैंने figure out कर लिया था कि अब मुझे इसी फील्ड में करना है. So I geared my application towards that as well. And then I also interned at the Research Society of International Law. तो इसलिए उससे भी मुझे अंदाजा हो गया था कि this is exactly what I want to do. And then the NDU center that I'm working at, वो मैंने graduation से पहले ही join कर लिया था. So all of this sort of, and I'm telling you all of this because this sort of gives you an idea of how my application was more aligned with what I was already doing. And that really helps your application. तो वही सेंटर ऑफ रिसर्च एसोसिएट में एक जगह थी, एक जगह इंटर्नशिप करी थी, वो सारे का सारा was very relevant to my experience, and that's when I worked on my application. GRE भी साथ दे दिया, and a lot of people think it might be very overwhelming to give GRE जब आपके final exams भी आने वाले हों, आपने application पे भी काम करना हो. But again, it all depends on how motivated you are, I think. As long as you are, you can get it. And also, people also seem to think that GRE is like such a big deal because you have to score well. You don't really need to score super well in it. That's also something that people didn't know. But then again, this is probably not relevant for this year because GRE again has been excluded from this for this cycle, at least for the first part. बाद में शायद आपको लेना पड़ेगा. So yeah, I just gave my GRE and I put in my application. References सारे आपने देने होते हैं, 2 academic, 1 professional. Gave that, and then shukar hai, got accepted. Like Fakhruddin told you guys, September तक आपके decisions आ जाते हैं, and then October में, and then after that the entire placement process starts. So yeah.
So what I've gathered from both of your individual accounts is that कि आपने पहले law से graduate किया, उसके बाद you took some time to explore your interests और अपने एप्लीकेशन की भी साइमल्टेनियसली तैयारी करते गए, और उसके बाद GRE जो है उसकी भी आपने प्रिपरेशन की, एंड देन यू फाइनली अप्लाइड, और फिर जो है आपका तकरीबन 1 साल के पीरियड के बाद आपका जो है वो सारा प्रोसेस कंप्लीट हो जाता है. So the GRE seems to be like a very important part of this entire process. It's a test. So Fargana, could you tell us further, क्योंकि recently आपने GRE दिया है, कि GRE what's the test like, और उसके बाद will come to कि इस दफा उन्होंने USCFP ने अनाउंस किया कि शायद GRE फिलहाल टेम्परेरीली उन्होंने वेव कर दिया है कि एप्लीकेशन के साथ स्कोर देने की जरूरत नहीं है. सो विल कम टू दैट आल्सो कि इस दफा जो है रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या है फॉर द 2021 एप्लीकेंट्स.
Right. So GRE in general, basically it has 3 parts. एक है उसका verbal reasoning और एक है उसका math का portion. I'm forgetting what it's exactly called. If you guys can remember.
Quant section.
Quantitative reasoning, and then the third one, thank you, is the writing portion. That's, I believe, analytical. So these are the 3 portions. So verbal reasoning है, that's basically English. उसके अंदर आपके पास different sections होते हैं. It's a very long test in general. It takes you about 3.5-4 hours almost to complete the entire test in one go, and you have to do it in one go. And computerized होता है mostly. There's very few paper-based tests that happen. तो ये तो जनरली हो गया. इसके अंदर जो इंग्लिश का पोर्शन होता है उसके अंदर देयर इज लाइक you need to work on your vocabulary, but more than that, and this a lot of people don't stress on enough, you need to have enough reasoning capabilities to be able to understand and comprehend the passage, right? तो अगर कोई भी passages होंगे उसके अंदर से आपको direct meaning नहीं आएगा कि इसका meaning क्या है, right? It will be contextual. So the more, the better that you can read the passage on your own. If you read a lot of books, that might be good for you. Even if you don't, if you're able to comprehend the passage, if you start reading right now, that's maybe how it will help you. So verbal reasoning वो होती है जिसके अंदर English के portions होते हैं, and then एक quantitative reasoning होती है, उसके अंदर math होती है. और मैथ की जो होती है उसके अंदर बेसिकली इट्स द सिलेबस इज नॉट रियली बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. इट्स बेसिकली ओ लेवल्स में जो हमने पढ़ा होता है वही वाला सिलेबस होता है. पर obviously the questions are very complicated and you have to do them very very quickly, so you need to be very quick in your reasoning and your reading and everything. So math का भी वो पूरा portion होता है. And then the third one is analytical writing. उसके अंदर there's a total score of 6. इसके अंदर से 6 में से you have to get I think if you manage to get like a 4 or above it, you're okay and you're good. And in the other two marking की होती हैं कि 170 I believe होता है total. And then 170 में से there's a minimum score, there's a maximum. If you go through the details on the website, you'll find like a lot more detail about this because it's a bit complicated the way that they score. But it generally ये होता है. And then if you're able to score like 300 से ऊपर total GRE में से, people generally say that's okay, but there's no really there's no minimum or maximum that you really should be getting. It all depends on your program, on what you intend to do and everything. So that's basically the GRE's 3 parts.
So coming to the recent announcement जो कि इस दफा USCFP जो कि इस पूरे प्रोग्राम को रेगुलेट करती है. So Fakhruddin, I'm sure you've gone through those announcements. तो उनके लिए आप जो है what would be the major takeaways जो कि आप चाहेंगे that should be out there, that should be understood, particularly by the applicants जो कि legal side से apply करना चाह रहे हैं for the Fulbright program?
Any particular announcement you'd want me to highlight? क्योंकि काफी आए हैं announcements तो.
एक 1 जुलाई को आई थी regarding the GRE के हवाले से कि GRE की इस दफा जो है it's a temporary waiver और उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. So if you've been through that, या फिर
yes, that was in relation to it had 2 parts to it. One was GRE की जरूरत नहीं है, and in turn GPA cutoffs उन्होंने announce किए हैं, which is something that was never really before. But and उन्होंने दो उसमें announce किए for certain fields such as public policy and engineering. I believe there's a 3.5 GPA cutoff, and for other fields जिसमें law आएगा, there's a 3.0 GPA cutoff. इसमें काफी criticism हुआ है. जो Fulbright alumni circles भी हैं, मैं भी जिनका part हूँ, कि it's something which should not be there and which doesn't fit in well with the whole idea and ethos of Fulbright, because it takes a holistic criteria as opposed to taking a very grade centric criteria कि आपके grades कितने अच्छे हैं. Because there have been students who gotten the Fulbright without having such amazing grades. Again, it's something new, so I can't say for certain how strictly will they abide by it. But I personally feel that there is no harm in applying. If there's someone who doesn't even meet the cutoff, they might just be having an amazing profile. So I would still recommend that person to go ahead, take the plunge and apply. But once again, I can't say to how effectively they follow that criteria क्योंकि पहली बार ये अनाउंस हुआ है.
So इसमें 2 क्राइटेरियाज थे. एक क्राइटेरिया था 3.5 GPA का जो कि दूसरे डिसिप्लिन्स के लिए था, और बाकी 3 GPA का क्राइटेरिया था, CGPA का. So for law students, मेरे ख्याल है, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the 3 CGPA cutoff, right?
Absolutely.
So for those who are applying for an LLM, so I think they're pretty much safe with the 3 CGPA cutoff.
Depends on where they're sitting.
Well, if we compare them to other disciplines at least.
Definitely.
ठीक. तो GRE के लिए भी जो अनाउंसमेंट हुई है, if you could elaborate on that further, कि फिलहाल क्योंकि यूजुअली आप दोनों ने जो अप्लाई किया था, आपका यही एक्सपीरियंस था कि GRE के लिए आपने अप्लाई किया था, and that was part of the entire application process. इस दफा for those who are applying, उनके पास अभी भी 22 जुलाई तक की डेट है, तो they can, for example, they can put the GRE in the back burner for now, or they can focus on other aspects. So what would your advice to the applicants be?
देखिए, GRE का जो idea था पहले, because when I was of course studying for it and applying, I'd spoken to people who'd been through the process, and some people who even took interviews on behalf of USCFP. So the role of GRE is this, that it's just one of the many criteria that they have. It is not the sole criteria. GPA जो होती हैं हर यूनिवर्सिटी का अलग सिस्टम होते हैं. कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज होती हैं जहाँ ग्रेड इन्फ्लेशन होता है, मतलब आपकी नॉर्मली अगर 3.3 GPA है तो आप उस यूनिवर्सिटी से ग्रेजुएट होकर 3.6 हो. कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज होती हैं which are known for grade deflation. That means if you should ordinarily have a 3.5 GPA, you will graduate with a 3.1. So to kind of standardize the pool, GRE would play an additional role कि किसी ने अगर grades अच्छे नहीं लिए यूनिवर्सिटी में, उनकी GPA इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, so the GRE can be a good indicator of their academic ability. So it was just one of the many criteria. Therefore, as Fargana even said, that there are lots of people who don't do that well in GRE, don't get such a high score, but they still get awarded the scholarship, which just goes to show कि बड़ा एक holistic criteria था. So it makes sense कि उसको हटा दिया गया GRE को, but I would still say there is no harm in taking it, क्योंकि if you have been preparing for it, आपकी तैयारी है, तो definitely go for it, give it a go.
ठीक है. So now coming to the application itself. So Fargana, in your experience, application में if you could explain in the simplest terms कि application के contents क्या-क्या होते हैं, कितने parts होते हैं, और किस part को किस तरीके से address किया जाए.
अच्छा, thanks, Haseeb. So the application basically has एक तो मैं उसका अगर basic divide करूँगी तो there would be some part that is only related to your personal information and some details that you need to fill जो कि आप फौरन करके कर सकते हो, and this is just information that you already know. And then there is the content of it. उसके content में जो दो main चीजें हैं, those are, if you've gone through the application, most of you would know, that is the personal statement and the study objectives. तो ये दो 750 वर्ड लिमिट की स्टेटमेंट्स हैं, और ये दोनों के स्टेटमेंट्स के क्वेश्चंस जो होते हैं वो भी उन्होंने लिखे होते हैं एप्लीकेशन में कि पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट में आपने कौन सी बात हाईलाइट करनी है, क्या क्या करना है, और फिर स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में आपने क्या क्या करना है. तो बिफोर वी कम टू डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट, इसके अलावा ये होता है कि देयर आर सर्टेन डॉक्यूमेंट्स दैट यू नीड to submit. Firstly, obviously, you need to submit the online application, and that's mandatory. You can't send it by post. There's many people who ask that, लेकिन आप पोस्ट नहीं कर सकते, आप उसे ऑनलाइन ही सबमिट करोगे. दूसरा, वो पूछते हैं कि उसके अंदर जो हमने अपने फाइनल ट्रांसक्रिप्ट देनी है वो हमने अटेस्ट करानी है या नहीं करानी है, हमने उनको किस तरह देना है. You just need to, it's the easiest thing ever, you just need to upload scans of the transcript on your application for now. अगर आप सेलेक्ट हो जाते हो तो उसके बाद आपको APC से टेस्ट करा के उनको सबमिट कराना है. तो अभी आपको स्कैन्स चाहिए, अभी आपको एप्लीकेशन चाहिए, और तीसरा आपको चाहिए रेफरेंसेस. और रेफरेंसेस आपको 3 चाहिए होते हैं. दे प्रपोज 3. आई डोंट थिंक यू कैन ऐड मोर देन दैट, आई एम नॉट श्योर, बट अगर होगी ऑप्शन तो वो उसके अंदर they will allow you to add more. But generally 3 में preferred ये होता है कि आप 2 academic references को, जहाँ से आपने पढ़ा है वहाँ से आप या professor का दोनों, one maybe one who is like your head of department or somebody, and maybe the other can be somebody who's a professor of some course that you've studied from. But that's basically up to you and your own judgment of who the most relevant people would be for you to be recommended. और तीसरा आपका, अगर if you have a lot of work experience, then preferably आप एक professional reference भी दो. So this is the third thing. And then इसके अलावा इस स्टेटमेंट के अंदर ही और डॉक्यूमेंट्स अपलोड करने के लिए होती है, सिर्फ स्कैन्स ऑफ ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स नहीं होती, इसके अलावा आपकी CV अपलोड करनी होती है आपने. सो आई वुड से कि अगर आप इफ यू स्पेंडिंग टाइम ऑन द एप्लीकेशन, डोंट जस्ट स्पेंड टाइम ऑन द पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट, स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव्स और बाकी सब आपने सोचा हो कि बिल्कुल आखिरी दिन जल्दी कर लूंगा. Go through the application in detail, know which places you have to work on, और CV को भी आपने अच्छी तरह अपने काम करके and then you have to upload it. So that's another thing that you have to work on. And then उसके अलावा end पे there are options of university preferences. University preferences आप उसमें डाल सकते हैं. That is an optional part. You don't need to do it, but I would suggest that you definitely add it, because if you get selected, then obviously those are the preferences that you get to say कि मुझे यहीं भेजें. Obviously उनका कोई guarantee नहीं होता, but you can still say that these are my preferred institutions, and then you have to give reasons next to that as well. तो ये पूरा जनरल एप्लीकेशन का पोर्शन है. इसके अंदर फिर स्पेसिफिक्स में भी तुम गो कर रहे हो.
Alright. So Coming to Fakhruddin, इसमें as Fargana mentioned कि इसके दो important वैसे तो सारे ही components important हैं, लेकिन एक personal statement और study objective इसमें काफी important है. तो उसमें what would you recommend, या आपके experience में what would you advise कि personal statement में अगर आप 2-3 चीजें list down करना चाहें तो वो कौन सी होंगी, और study objective में वो कौन सी होनी चाहिए?
Especially
for lawyers.
Firstly, I would just like to reiterate that, as Fargana said, personal statement and study objectives are literally the heart of your application. सबसे ज़्यादा attention आपको इस पे देनी चाहिए, because this will literally make it or break. पहले personal statement पे आ जाते हैं. As the name suggests, it's supposed to be a personal statement. It's supposed to be your narrative, your story. आपकी inspiration क्या है? What motivates you in life? Who are you? Why are you doing law? आप क्यों LLM करना चाहते हैं? So I think it's a time which requires deep self-reflection. कि आप सोचें कि why am I writing this? Why am I applying? What do I want to achieve out of it? It needs to have a personalized story. तो और एक चीज मैं कहूँगा, अक्सर लोग समझते हैं कि personal statement needs to be some sort of sob story. It needs to be a sad story. Okay, coming from Pakistan, I went through this, that. I'm oppressed and so on. इन सब चीजों की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. It's not Fulbright is not a financial aid scholarship. सही है. It's not a scholarship which is just meant for people who suffered injustices. जी वो affirmative action की उसमें दी जाती है. They look out for people. They give special preference to people if you're underrepresented. That's not what the scholarship is about. So please be honest. लोग अक्सर just so they think that they will fit into a particular box, they try to put themselves into the box even though when they don't really belong there. And these people who are reading your applications, they've been doing it for a while. वो बता सकते हैं क्या सच है, what adds up and what doesn't. So please be honest to yourself, ask yourself all these questions and put together an honest and convincing story. One more thing. अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि आपको इससे फुलब्राइट स्कॉलरशिप चाहिए और LLM करना है because you want to suppose improve the criminal justice system in Pakistan, फिर then you need to show a degree of interest कि आपको कोई इंटरेस्ट है क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम में, आपने सोचा है इस बारे में, आपने कभी कोई रिसर्च पेपर लिखा है यूनिवर्सिटी में, रिसर्च असिस्टेंटशिप की है, आपने काम किया है इस पे. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट यू नीड टू बी कंप्लीटली इनटू दैट थिंग व्हाट यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर. That's not what the criteria is. The criteria is sufficient interest आप दिखा पाएं कि I want to do all of this and my past experiences, past activities show that I have demonstrated a certain skill set in this area and a certain interest in that area. तो जैसे मैंने international law के बारे में लिखा था along with constitutional law अपनी personal statement. I was not working in international law. I was working in a complex litigation practice जहाँ पे ज़्यादातर constitutional और commercial litigation होती है. पर मैंने दिखाया अपनी दूसरी एक्टिविटीज से कि मुझे इंटरनेशनल लॉ में भी इंटरेस्ट है. क्या क्या मैंने इन्वॉल्वमेंट्स रखी है, मूड कोर्ट कोचिंग की है, मूड कोर्ट्स में पार्टिसिपेट किया था व्हाइल आई वाज इन लॉ स्कूल, कुछ इंटर्नशिप्स की हैं एंड सो ऑन. सो सफिशिएंट इंटरेस्ट आपको दिखाना चाहिए. डोंट जस्ट मेक समथिंग अप फॉर द सेक. कमिंग टू स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, अक्सर होता है लोग जो पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट पे लिखते हैं वही चीजें रिप्रोड्यूस कर देते हैं स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. प्लीज डोंट डू दैट. Study objectives are meant to be separate. Use that opportunity to speak about something जो आपने personal statement पे नहीं. Don't ruin that opportunity by repeating the same things जो आपकी personal statement. एक और चीज मैं point करूंगा, जो application होगा उसमें personal statement के section के नीचे 4-5 लाइनें का एक paragraph होगा जो बताएगा what do they really want your personal statement should include, what should it address. Similarly, study objectives के नीचे भी ये चीज होगी. आप अच्छा खासा टाइम लगाएं और देखें how those two things are different. What they want out from the personal statement, they do not want that out of the study objectives. So study objectives पे आप ज़्यादा specific बात करें कि how your past training, past experiences, what you've studied makes you a good fit to what you want to study. Second, why do you have that interest? Where does that interest come from? Third, what do you want to achieve out of studying this? How this fits into your long-term goals? आपके 5 साल के 10 साल के immediate goals क्या हैं? ये चीजों में आप ज्यादा detailed technicalities में जा सकते हैं. Whereas personal statement में It's supposed to be a personal story. आपको इन सब डिटेल्स में इतनी it's not a requirement कि आप in depth जाएं. एक और चीज मैं कहूँगा, जो ओपनिंग और क्लोजिंग है आपकी, उसमें आपको स्पेशल एम्फेसिस देने की जरूरत है. Your personal statement and study objectives need to have a very, very powerful opening. क्योंकि this is the moment when a person who's reading your application will decide, मैं पूरा application पे कितना concentrate करूँ, do I really want to read it, or is this just one of the many applications which I've lined up? So try to make sure that it's an appealing, it's an interesting opening, and try to be as honest as you can. एक और चीज मैं ऐड करूंगा, try to understand what the scholarship is about. What do they really seek out of the scholarship? And ये चीज जब हम अप्लाई कर रहे होते हैं हमें नहीं पता चलती, but once you go through the interview process, you really understand, okay, this is what they're really looking for. So try to understand that they want someone who will be a good representative of Pakistan when they're in the United States, and when they come back, they will be a good representative of the United States when they're in Pakistan. ये चीजें अगर आपके back of the mind हैं, so this will be your guidepost when you're writing down your application, when you're writing down your stories. So don't lose sight of the main goal, that when they're assessing your applications, वो ये दो चीजों को जरूर देख रहे हैं.
So coming to the point you've specifically mentioned, क्योंकि normally जब हम directly universities को apply करते हैं तो उसका एक अलग प्रोसीजर होता है, उसमें स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप की दूसरी स्टेटमेंट्स होती हैं, उसमें आप प्रोफेसर्स का भी जिक्र कर सकते हैं कि मुझे फलां प्रोफेसर ने बहुत इंस्पायर किया इसलिए मैं यहाँ आना चाहता हूँ. सो हाउ इज दैट प्रोसेस सॉर्ट ऑफ डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अप्लाइंग फॉर एन एलएलएम थ्रू द फुलब्राइट प्रोसेस? क्या यहाँ पे हम इस तरह की चीजें मेंशन कर सकते हैं या नहीं?
So should I answer?
Both of you, starting with Fakhruddin.
जी, तो मैं यही कहूँगा कि keep it general. You're applying for the Fulbright scholarship. You're not applying to a particular university. तो आप ये नहीं लिख सकते मुझे इस प्रोफेसर का ये कोर्स पढ़ना है, जो नॉर्मली आप डायरेक्ट एप्लीकेशन कर रहे होते थे तो आप लिख सकते हैं. सो कीप इट वेग. आप ये कोई बात कर सकते हैं कि मुझे अमेरिकन लीगल सिस्टम की ये बात बहुत पसंद है, ये जूरिस्प्रूडेंस बहुत पसंद है, इसकी रेलेवेंस और एप्लीकेबिलिटी है पाकिस्तान में, जैसे कि द अमेरिकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन is a written constitution in a common law society that is something similar to Pakistan. तो ऐसी चीजें आप लिख सकते हैं. बट once again, अगर आप स्पेसिफिक एप्लीकेशन को यूनिवर्सिटी का तैयार कर रहे होंगे, जो आपको मौका मिलेगा, once you go through the Fulbright process, they will allow you to make changes to your application which will be sent to university, जिसमें आप लिख सकते हैं I want to study a course from this professor and so on. So these things are to be avoided in the Fulbright application.
Yeah. And I also want to say, इसके साथ ही that's perfectly right. एक तो ये कि LLM की आपकी जो Fulbright की application होगी, since we're talking specifically about law here, तो उसके अंदर आपने ये देखना है कि you have to, like Fakhruddin said, first you have to know कि आपका scholarship, Fulbright scholarship है किस लिए, होती किस लिए है, उसका purpose क्या है, what are they trying to achieve, so that you can tell them that you can help them achieve it. दूसरा आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपकी audience क्या होनी है. And generally, obviously, it's you don't really know कि आपकी application review कौन कर रहा है, पढ़ कौन रहा है, पर there is a committee जो होती है Fulbright की, उसके अंदर काफी सारे लोग होते हैं, उसके अंदर US State Department के I guess representatives होते होंगे, this is only my guess, but we all know also कि उसमें alumni के भी कुछ लोग होते हैं जो कि आपके जज कर रहे होते हैं एप्लीकेशन को. And then you also need to remember कि अगर alumni हैं तो obviously जरूरी नहीं है कि वो law की फील्ड से हो. So keeping that in mind, you need to be very, very sure of the fact that your personal statement especially, and also your study objectives to an extent, needs to be understandable to a general audience. For example, if I'm from law and if I'm reading an application relating to architecture, I should be able to understand from the study objectives कि क्या गैप इसने आइडेंटिफाई किया है पाकिस्तान में या जो भी, एंड किस तरफ इन्होंने काम करना है, क्या इन्होंने अचीव करना है. तो ये बात बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है जो कि आप ज़रूर इसको माइंड में रखा करें, स्पेशली फॉर द फुलब्राइट, क्योंकि अगर आप डायरेक्ट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में अप्लाई कर रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे क्या पता पैनल एक जनरल होता हो जो यूनिवर्सिटी का होता हो, बट देन देयर इज आल्सो आई एम श्योर अ स्पेसिफिक पैनल फॉर लॉ स्कूल कि वो आपकी एप्लीकेशन पढ़ेंगे, तो दे माइट बी एबल टू गेट द टेक्निकलिटीज, पर study objectives में जब आप even when you're going into the dry area, the technicalities of the courses that you want to take or like similar courses या जो भी, so you still have to ensure कि वो understandable है to an audience. So the best recommendation that I can give to you in that regard is when you're applying, show your statement to somebody who is not from your background and ask them if it makes sense to them. Okay, and then that's exactly what I did as well with my study objectives, especially because personal statements, personal होते हैं, you can't really show them to people. At least I didn't. But study objectives, उनके लिए आपको ये करना चाहिए कि, for example, I showed mine to my sister, and then she's a chartered accountant. She's not from my field at all. When she read it, she told me कि अच्छा मुझे ये पैराग्राफ में मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं आया कि तुमने क्या लिखा हुआ है. And then I realized कि उसके अंदर मैंने कुछ ऐसी टर्म्स यूज की हुई हैं जो कि लॉ में तो हम बहुत कॉमनली यूज करते हैं, जो हमें आदत होती है, पर जनरली किसी को पता नहीं होगा उनका. Then I changed that to something less वो. तो इस तरह करके you can make changes to your study objectives, and that's how it's different from direct applying directly. इसके अलावा I just have like a few more suggestions जो कि मैं जल्दी बता देती हूँ. Like Fakhruddin said, read the application ka question very carefully. All the differences that you need to know between the study objectives and the personal statement are right there. और उन्होंने बता दिया आपको कि personal ज़्यादा किस चीज़ को होना चाहिए, किस चीज़ में आप ज़्यादा अपनी पढ़ाई और courses और past, present, future in terms of career जा सकते हैं. दूसरा बहुत important है, and I think this also is something that needs to be very clear, is clarity itself. What do you want to do? अगर आप इस पे क्लियर नहीं होंगे तो फिर आपको उनको भी नहीं समझ आएगी what you want to do, and that will not help you in achieving the aim that you aim to achieve. अगर आप कह रहे हो कि आपने criminal justice system में कुछ करना है, तो I would suggest be more specific in that. Criminal justice system is a big portion in like law generally, कि उसमें हमारे especially in our system in Pakistan there are many problems within it. What do you identify as specific problems? What can you do for all those specific problems? उसके अंदर भी further if you can specify कि आप किस ज़्यादा field में काम करना चाहोगे, तो वो that would be better. If you're going for human rights law, I would still suggest कि आप उसके अंदर अपनी 1-2 areas अपने identify करो. If it's gender equality, it's gender equality. If it's child welfare, it's that, right? So identify specific portions, and you need to be very clear in terms of that. अगर आप सिर्फ यही कहोगे कि अच्छा मुझे बस जनरली मतलब मुझे सब कुछ ठीक कर देना है, ये भी यहाँ क्रिमिनल में ये मसला है, सिविल लिटिगेशन में ये मसला है, यहाँ पे ये मसला है, और मैं तो सब कुछ मैं ठीक कर दूंगा, so that's gonna be a bit of a problem, because वो obviously उनको होगा कि अच्छा you're not really clear on how you intend to do that, right? So and then you also need to connect that with the courses that you want to study. You don't need to specify कि क्या courses के नाम होंगे, because you're not applying directly, but you can still we all know कि हर law school में generally courses की fields तो similar होती हैं, right? Comparative constitutional law भी है अगर, या constitutional law है, IHRL है, PIL है, all of these fields are identified. So at least you can go ahead and identify courses that are similar to that. You don't need to go in specifics, but you can still identify those. So these are like some very specific suggestions for LLM that could help you. And then just one last question. एक मुझे कई बार काफी सारे लोग पूछते हैं कि how personal does a personal statement need to be? And like Fakhruddin said, it does not need to be a soft story. It just needs to be authentic. अगर आपकी स्टोरी है और आपकी स्टोरी में ये वाले मसले थे तो आप डाल दो, पर don't include it just for the sake of including it. Include it only if it forms part of your narrative. अगर आपका पूरा narrative है बना हुआ और उसके अंदर आपको ये प्रॉब्लम आई है और इसलिए आप डाल रहे हो, तो फिर सही है. वरना आप सिर्फ ये बताओगे कि वो मतलब फाइनेंशियल सर्कमस्टेंसेस ऐसे थे, इस वजह से मुझे ये करना वो करना, और फिर मुझे now I want to do this will not work. So you need to build a whole narrative, build a whole story, and that might help. So that's all, I guess.
Okay, so here's a quick question. Ji, please, Fakhruddin.
On building the story, building the narrative part, एक और चीज ज़हन में रखें. लोग अक्सर कहते हैं कि 2 साल से मैं ये चीज कर रहा हूँ, and that's where the story begins. So if you're 23, 25 years old, clearly your story's been longer than that. So try to go back in time. वही मैं जो कह रहा हूँ, self reflect करें, सही है. एक try to draw the dots, connect the dots. कि पहले आप जो थे किस चीज में, अर्लीस्ट आपकी मोटिवेशन इस चीज में क्या थी, and why do you think you will succeed in this thing, and why do you want to pursue this thing. So ज़रूरी नहीं है आपकी जर्नी सिर्फ यूनिवर्सिटी में या पिछले 2 साल काम करने में स्टार्ट हुई हो. You can go back to your childhood, and I personally would recommend doing that.
So here's a quick question for both of you. Columbia or Harvard? It was on a lighter note. जिस point पे मैं आना चाह रहा था वो थी university preferences. So did both of you get to the universities जो कि आपने list down की थी preferences में, या फिर it is the discretion of those who are reading your applications? Starting with Fargana.
Okay, so university preferences, and I'm sorry, there's like this thing in my room that I keep looking at, this creature, so I keep getting scared. Could you repeat the question just once?
Yes, my question was कि यूनिवर्सिटी प्लेसमेंट का इसमें बहुत बड़ा कंपोनेंट है पूरी एप्लीकेशन में. तो आप दोनों ने जिन यूनिवर्सिटीज को लिस्ट डाउन किया था, क्या आपकी प्लेसमेंट उन्हीं यूनिवर्सिटीज में हुई या फिर वो डिस्क्रेशन जो थी वो USCFP की थी?
Okay, so firstly, and very important to note, discretion USCFP की है. From the start to the end, आप अपनी preferences डाल सकते हो. जैसे कि you see in the application, you have space to add 3 preferences, 3 universities there. तो उन 3 universities में आप अपनी 3 कोई भी choose करके preferences डाल दो. Eventually they will decide, but then I'll tell you breakdown कि किस portion पे किस time आप fight कर सकते हो for getting the university of your choice. So first of all, when you're doing your application, आपने तब सोच के बड़ा डालना है. People ask you कि आपको सारी high ranked universities डालनी चाहिए या नहीं, या फिर balance डालनी चाहिए. There's no right or wrong answer to this, honestly, in my opinion, because for some people a balanced thing works out, because उसमें there's a higher likelihood कि जब वो आपका placement plan बनाएंगे selection के बाद, तो वो आपकी ज़्यादातर universities डाल देंगे, क्योंकि they will feel like कि अच्छा ये balanced plan already है, तो इसके अंदर से हम, क्योंकि they try to their aim is कि जब आप select हो तो कि आपको वो balanced plan दें, एक high tier university होगी, फिर एक normal होगी, फिर एक बिलो एवरेज भी 8-9 होगी, इस तरह की. जनरली वो इस तरह के 4 यूनिवर्सिटीज का प्लान बनाते हैं. लेकिन जब आप कर रहे हो अप्लाई, तो उसके अंदर एटलीस्ट व्हाट आई डिड वाज आई डिडंट ऐड some very like average or below average universities. I added really good ones in all 3 preferences. And I sort of knew कि शायद अगर if I eventually don't end up getting all of these, maybe इसका फायदा ये है कि शायद इन 3 में से 1 या 2 तो वो मान लेंगे. So what happened was I added 3 universities. उनमें से 2 मेरी उन्होंने final placement plan में डाल दी थी, और फिर 2 उन्होंने अपनी मर्जी से डाल दी थी. And then they send you one email and then they tell you कि इन 4 universities में से आपने आपकी इन चारों में जा रही हैं applications, and they're just telling you that, but you still have some room to go through the university के law school के programs and then see if they're relevant to you or not. And that's very tricky, because उसके अंदर, if there is, for example, I had one university which was University of Cincinnati in Ohio, and उसका जब मैंने law school, I opened all सारी, मुझे बाकी 3 मेरी थी University of California Hastings College of Law, Harvard Law School, और दूसरी Georgetown. और जॉर्जटाउन और हार्वर्ड मेरी अपनी प्रेफरेंसेस में से थी. तो फिर जब मैंने ओहायो वाली सिंसिनाटी को देखा, तो फिर उसके अंदर मैंने आई रियलाइज देयर लिटरली not a lot of courses on public international and human rights law, और जो मैंने बातें लिखी हुई थी अपने स्टडी ऑब्जेक्टिव्स में, वो सारे कोर्सेज या उन अराउंड दैट लाइन मुझे नहीं मिल रहे थे. सो आई रोट टू देम कि ये वाली यूनिवर्सिटी मेरे हिसाब से ठीक नहीं है, तो मे बी ट्राई टू चेंज दैट. एंड देन आई गेव देम 2 फर्दर ऑप्शंस के ईदर हैव दिस और दिस वन. उसके बाद उन्होंने, it's basically their discretion, they can choose to not agree to both of them and add some other one, or still keep that Cincinnati or same one in your plan. But eventually they agreed to mine. एक उन्होंने जॉर्ज वॉशिंगटन उसमें ऐड कर दी. So now I had 4 universities, जिसमें basically 3 universities मेरी अपनी मर्जी की एक तरह से हो गई थी, और 4th मेरी अपनी मर्जी की नहीं थी. And then they send your application to all 4. And then finally, जो final placement decide होती है, उसके अंदर there's a lot of different factors that go into their decision. You can't really say what those factors are, but what you get to understand from their documents and everything is कि उन्होंने सिर्फ आपका उन्होंने ये भी देखना है कि आपके credentials क्या हैं, where do you deserve to go and where you should go, but they also look at the cost element of it, because what they do is कि आपकी एक portion of your scholarship that you apply when you apply to universities, आपको universities से scholarships देते हैं. You don't get that scholarship for yourself, but basically what it does, it reduces tuition fee and everything. So when it does that, then it costs less for Fulbright to send you there. So इसलिए they also keep that factor in mind while deciding your percentage. It's not deciding your placement. It's not like maybe a deciding factor only, but it is one of them. So that when you get finally placed somewhere, even before that, you have some room to tell them what your preference is. So you can tell them कि अच्छा मेरी इन चारों में से भी I want this university because this offers. उसके अंदर फिर आप जिस तरह आप सोचो कि आप डायरेक्टली एक यूनिवर्सिटी में अप्लाई कर रहे हो तो आप क्यों कर रहे हो, तो उसके अंदर आप प्रोफेसर्स के नाम भी बता सकते हो, आप ये भी बता सकते हो कि why you need to go to that specific university, उनका क्लिनिक क्या है, वहाँ opportunities कैसी हैं, and obviously Fakhruddin will be better to guide you in that respect because I believe he also tried to do that as well. So you try to get that done, and then eventually if you get your preference, you get your preference. If you don't have a say in it. You can either withdraw from the Fulbright scholarship or you go in whichever university you get. But again, there is no sad go to it, because a lot of universities which are like even smaller institutions or whatever, they also offer you a lot of different opportunities that you didn't otherwise see coming. And I've seen that with my current cohort, because they've recently gone through this process of placement, and now some of them are really happy, some of them are not really happy. But whoever is not really happy, they're slowly realizing कि उनकी अपनी institutions what they have to offer to them. So I would suggest कि आप सिर्फ इस वजह से बहुत ज़्यादा caught up हो जाओ कि ये यूनिवर्सिटी अच्छी नहीं है या फिर ये अपनी मर्जी से नहीं भेजे तो मैं फिर Fulbright से नहीं जाना. It still is a big privilege to be a Fulbright scholar in itself, and that's something to keep in mind.
So, Fakhruddin, coming to you, two questions. What would your advice be for the university placement section? और दूसरा ये कि specialization अगर आपको किसी particular area में LLM में करनी है, so how do you put that down there कि मुझे इस area में जो है specialization करनी है, because this is where I see a future in my career.
पहला सवाल यूनिवर्सिटी प्लेसमेंट्स के हिसाब से मैंने भी सोचा एक नैरेटिव हो जो कंसिस्टेंट हो. मेरा ये था आई वांट टू गो टू अ बिग सिटी so I can get the American experience, immerse in American society, get to meet the top lawyers, and take part in a clinical program. Law schools America में वहाँ पे different clinical courses होते हैं जिसमें they pair you up with some organization, with some agency, and you can do work, or externships होती हैं. That's why I chose New York and Chicago. New York में NYU, Columbia, and Chicago में Northwestern and UChicago. और यूं पूरा मैंने consistent narrative तैयार किया how they have courses which are in line with my goals. They have other opportunities, and it's a perfect fit. Unfortunately, they didn't buy it. उन्होंने मेरे जो top 2 preferences थे Columbia और NYU वो तो रख लिए, बाकी दो उन्होंने change कर दिए. I tried to reason with them, explain with them, और यहाँ पे personal statement और study objectives आती हैं, और वो भी जो आप यूनिवर्सिटी प्रेफरेंस सेलेक्ट करते हैं तो आप एक पैराग्राफ में लिख सकते हैं why you are selecting a particular university. So I tried to reason them on the basis of my Fulbright application कि please आप Northwestern और Georgetown को include कर दें. They agreed on Northwestern. They didn't agree on Georgetown. And eventually I was very lucky. I got into my top choice, Columbia. But that was also, as I later found out, because Columbia gave me a massive scholarship, which made it feasible, or a lot more feasible as it would have been otherwise if Columbia wouldn't have given me the scholarship. तो ये चीजें होती हैं which you have to bear in mind, and मैंने की थी काफी हद तक, such as I wanted to apply to UC Berkeley because it's a great school, it's in California, but then being a state schools don't give that much scholarship. So मुझे पता था if I put on UC Berkeley, it might be wasting a spot because the chances are that Fulbright might not send me. So have these practical considerations in your mind when you're selecting your university preferences. And आपका second सवाल क्या था? Sorry.
My second question was कि आप अगर स्पेशलाइजेशन किसी पर्टिकुलर एरिया में एलएलएम में करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि आपने एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया में इंटरनेशनल एंड कंपैरेटिव लॉ आई बिलीव उसमें की है, फरगना ने ह्यूमन राइट्स लॉ में उनको जो है स्पेशलाइजेशन मिली है. So how do you sort of how does an applicant put it down there for USCFP to see and the universities to see कि इस particular program में जो है the applicant is interested?
I think it comes back to the original advice which we shared, that it needs to be part of your narrative. आपको दिखाना होगा कि आपको क्यों इस चीज में इंटरेस्ट है. अगर आपको ह्यूमन राइट्स करना है, आपने कभी सोचा है ह्यूमन राइट्स जूरिस्प्रूडेंस के बारे में कुछ काम किया है, why do you think you will be able to work in this? Why do you want to work this? So asking yourself all of these questions and then putting a compelling and persuasive story together is the key. और जो आपको करना है वही आप साफ साफ आसान ज़बान में without making it too technical or complicated आप लिख दें. And just to clarify, मैंने actually नहीं लिखा था in particular कि मुझे international law करना है. Mine was in a way a very mixed approach. जो मुझे लोगों ने कहा भी था आप ये नहीं करें, please try to be more specific. मैंने लिखा था I want to study international law and constitutional law, and I want to use that to actually promote human rights and civil liberties. So it was a mix of three things, but I could show that क्योंकि मैंने Supreme Court की public interest petition में काम किया था, जिसमें we actually used concepts of international law and constitutional law to enforce certain rights, certain human rights. So because I could draw that link, मैंने लिखा था. But I ended up pursuing a general LLM. मैंने constitutional law भी पढ़ा, international law भी पढ़ा, international arbitration पे काफी focus किया. So it's all about making sure that it makes sense, it's persuasive. अगर आपको किसी specific चीज में करना है तो लिखें definitely. अगर नहीं लिखना, आपको नहीं पता इतना कि आपको किस चीज में specialize करना है, तो just for the sake of specialization you make something up, I would not recommend that. I think honesty is the key. Be honest. Put out a compelling story which the other person can believe, rather than making something up just for the sake of looking, oh, I have it all figured out. मैं तो इसी चीज में specialize करना चाहता हूँ और इसी specific चीज में करना चाहता हूँ. So
that's true. Yeah, and I also wanted to say that that's very interesting when you pointed out that आप कितना specific आपको होना चाहिए क्या नहीं, because I also remember when I was applying, I told people कि मैंने अब ये लिखना है, what do you think about this? And I wanted to write कि मैंने research में भी जाना है, policy making में भी जाना है, but eventually I also want to be able to pursue human rights litigation, right? तो वो दोनों practice और research दोनों मैं साथ साथ करना चाहती हूँ. I told this to people कि मैं ये लिखना चाह रही हूँ, but most people said don't do it because this means कि you're being over ambitious and this means कि वो लोग फौरन सोचेंगे कि ये तो नहीं हो सकता इतना कुछ. But then again, you also then have to show कि आपने पहले भी इसी तरह बहुत सारी चीजें एक साथ की हुई हैं and you're able to handle it and you will be able to achieve it. तो इसीलिए फिर मैंने specifically, क्योंकि मैंने ये दोनों बातें लिखी हुई थी, तो इस वजह से मैंने अपने पुराने एक्सपीरियंस में से ये भी बताया कि मैंने when I was doing my LLB और मेरे finals चल रहे थे, तब मैं अपने masters in Indian literature जो मैंने privately दिया था, बट उसके भी मेरे एग्जाम साथ साथ चल रहे थे, तो मैंने वो दोनों साथ किए थे एंड दैट वाज अ बिग चैलेंज फॉर मी, बट आई मैनेज्ड टू डू इट. उसके अलावा भी पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन मूड कोर्ट कॉम्पिटिशंस, गेटिंग लाइक एंटी सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट ट्रेनिंग, लीगल अवेयरनेस ट्रेनिंग्स डन ऑल ओवर सांबा, इस तरह करके थोड़ी बहुत चीजें. तो बेसिकली टेल यू कि आप यू आर एबल टू डू अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स एट द सेम टाइम, एंड ऑल्सो द फैक्ट दैट आई वाज वर्किंग व्हाइल आई वाज स्टडीइंग. So when I try to basically say कि मैं ये भी बाद में करूँगी, तो I also showed कि मैं अभी कर सकती हूँ. So don't go for कि अच्छा आपको बहुत ज़्यादा कोई कहे कि बहुत ज़्यादा over ambitious ना हो, but you do have to then show कि आप कर सकते हो through your either your experience or your motivations and everything. So that's what I wanted to say.
So a bit of a few general questions that I was getting, Fakhruddin, I'll come to you for those. Some people were asking कि अगर किसी की already LLM हुई हुई है या bar at law हुई हुई है from the UK, so would they be eligible for this Fulbright program or not?
देखिए, आपको दिखाना होगा that why do you need another master's if you already have a master's? What's the reason you want to do another postgraduate degree? So this is a relevant question which will be asked. but as long as you can sufficiently answer that, I think कोई मसला नहीं है। और मैं बल्कि जानता हूँ 2 लोगों को, एक इस साल के Fulbright cohort में and like who went with me 2019 for his LLM, and someone back in 2011 I believe 2011 या 10 में उन्होंने किया था. Both of them had done their bar at law, actually were barristers, and then decided to apply for the Fulbright and do their LLM. So definitely, as long as you can sufficiently answer that, why do you need this master's, I think you're good to go.
So one more question. Kyunki this platform is for all sorts of demographies of students and young lawyers. So for someone who I think I'll be able to relate with them, for someone who was not privileged to be in Karachi or Islamabad or Lahore, in the big cities, or someone who seeks to apply for an LLM through the Fulbright scholarship, तो उनको उनके particular context में या उनके particular background में आप उनको दोनों क्या एडवाइस देंगे कि वो क्या चीजें हैं जिन पे वो हाईलाइट करें? हाउ डू दे sort of bring the thing home? So starting with please.
Okay, I think I'll go ahead first then. Okay, so with respect to your question, you're obviously not everybody lives in the big cities and not everybody has equal access to opportunities. Like you mentioned, Lateef, at the start, I think you have repeated it, that Fulbright does take that into account. It takes that into account on multiple occasions, not just about the fact that if अगर आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी ये है तो आपका एक्सपीरियंस कितना होगा, दे माइट नो कि अच्छा आपका शायद इतना ज्यादा एक्सपोजर ना रहा हो, तो उस हिसाब से वो आपकी एप्लीकेशन जज करेंगे. दे विल नॉट गेज यू परफेक्टली इन लाइन विद अगर कोई इस तरह का कोई ग्रेजुएट है जो कि हु इज प्रिविलेज्ड इनफ टू हैव एक्सपोजर टू ऑल ऑफ दीज. स्पेशली ये रिगार्डिंग जीआरई तो उन्होंने अपने एफएक्यूज में आंसर भी किया हुआ है, एंड दिस मे नॉट बी रेलेवेंट बट दिस इज रेलेवेंट टू दिस एक्सटेंट कि वो कहते हैं कि अगर जीआरई आप देते हो तो वी विल टेक इनटू अकाउंट द फैक्ट दैट यू मे बी वर नॉट फ्रॉम प्राइवेट एजुकेशन बैकग्राउंड और यू वर नॉट आपकी इंग्लिश जो थी वो आपकी थ्रू आउट इतनी ज्यादा अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है या फिर आप कुछ भी एनी ऑफ दैट वी विल टेक दैट इनटू अकाउंट. तो वो ये सब देखते हैं. व्हाट यू नीड टू मेक श्योर इज कि अगर आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो, कहीं से भी अप्लाई कर रहे हो, तो आपकी उस हिसाब से कैसी स्टोरी है. अगर आप किसी ऐसी यूनिवर्सिटी से नहीं अप्लाई कर रहे जो कि इस्लामाबाद, लाहौर और अपनी केसेस में थी, तो फिर भी आपने जहाँ आप थे वहाँ पे आपने एक्सेल करने के लिए क्या किया, वहाँ पे आपने स्टैंड आउट करने के लिए क्या किया, वहाँ पे व्हाट मेक्स यू डिफरेंट. यू डोंट हैव टू कम्पीट विद anybody else, but you just need to tell them that you are the one who stands out in whatever respect. And कई बार इसका फायदा भी बहुत होता है क्योंकि when you're doing something, when you have a law school जो कि इस तरह के big cities में ना भी हो, तो भी जो आपका काम वहाँ पे कर रहे होते हैं आप, तो वो बहुत यूनिक होता है क्योंकि काफी सारे as we all know, लम्स से कायद-ए-आज़म, तो चलो इट्स लाइक अ न्यू यूनिवर्सिटी, वी ऑल नो लम्स से काफी ज्यादा लोग हर साल जनरली अप्लाई करते हैं, नफ्ट से करते हैं, इफ यू डोंट जस्ट टॉक अबाउट लॉ स्कूल, तो आपका एक स्पेसिफिक एज भी होता है. और जो कि मैंने भी शायद फील किया कि कायद-ए-आज़म यूनिवर्सिटी से देयर आर नॉट टू मेनी एप्लीकेंट्स, और अगर हैं भी तो वो लॉ से तो स्पेसिफिकली कम ही होंगे. तो उसका मुझे इस तरह एज हुआ कि मैंने ये एक्नॉलेज भी की बात कि this is like a new law school, it wasn't fully developed. We did struggle with the lack of resources at some point, but that didn't stop me from doing this, that. तो इसलिए इस तरह की चीजों को आप यूज करो और ज्यादा आपके they can be to your advantage, especially if they're part of your story like that. If you actually did struggle, like I know I did, so if that's why I did it. So I don't think you should be worried about that at all.
Fakhruddin, anything you would like to add to that? Any advice?
Sorry, what was your question again about being from a small city?
Being from smaller cities or from law schools, they're not developed into universities yet. So what would your advice to be to students who are coming from those backgrounds, smaller cities, young law schools? What would your advice to them be?
I think I would agree with Fargana only what she said, that try to use this to set you apart कि आपको इतना access to opportunities नहीं था, फिर भी you made sure that you got certain opportunities, did certain things without them being readily available. फिर आप future goals में भी बता सकते हैं कि you have a specific context, आपको specific knowledge है of a particular area. Therefore, the impact that you can create in that particular place, जहाँ पे American legal education इतने लोगों के पास नहीं है. So your impact will be a lot more as opposed to someone coming from Karachi or Lahore. So I think you can play that to your advantage. Definitely, कोई इसमें I don't think it should be a disadvantage. It's all about what you make of it.
So thank you to both of you, and thank you to the viewers who are with us throughout this session.
Can I just say one thing, Haseeb, please? Sorry to cut you. एक चीज पे हमने बात नहीं की, and I'm sorry, time हो गया है. It's recommendation letters. So please focus on that.
Please go ahead. Take your time. I think that's a very important aspect of the application. So please.
So recommendation letters is something which is really important. Make sure you think carefully कौन आपके लिए लिख रहा है. The authority or the title or the position of the person, honestly, it doesn't matter as much as the substance of the letter does. जैसे मैं जब सोच रहा था who to ask for a letter of recommendation, I could have asked a former Supreme Court judge who was my professors. पर मैंने सोचा नहीं, there's another professor who's a lot younger. He can write a better letter of recommendation for me because he knows me on a more personal level. I've had certain experiences with him. उनके courses काफी लिए हैं. उन्होंने moot court competition के लिए मुझे train किया था, and so on. So whoever can write you the best and most compelling and persuasive letter of recommendation, उनसे आप मांगे, because trust me, these things matter a lot. And not only at the Fulbright application stage, even at the university admission stage. So, and make sure जो भी लिख रहा है आपका, they know your story. हो सके तो आप उनको बताएं आपकी personal statements, study objectives क्या हैं, so they can make sure that what they're writing, it's not in a vacuum, but it connects with your application as well. And please give them sufficient time to write. ये नहीं आप एक हफ्ते पहले या 2 हफ्ते पहले, मैंने तो 2 महीने पहले कांटेक्ट कर लिया था उन लोगों को. So yeah, please make sure you give adequate time and attention to this part of the application.
So Fargana, any final words?
Well, just on the recommendation letter, that was a very good idea to address it. उसी के अंदर बस यही मैंने कहना था कि whenever you're applying, तो keep in mind कि आपने जो recommendation letter लेना है, एक तो इसको relevant होना चाहिए, not necessarily कि आपने किसमें specialize किया है, सिर्फ उसी ऐसे हो, you don't need to be too strict with all of this, but whoever just can represent you best. कि अगर आपका एक टीचर रहे हैं जो 5 years of your law school आपके साथ भी पढ़ाते भी रहे हैं, he's seen your growth, everything, you feel like he'll be able to write something very detailed for you. That will be very good for you. और दूसरा ये कि if you have space for 2 recommendation letters from just your university, try to be diverse in that. अगर एक for example for LLM के लिए काफी ज्यादा ये भी होता है कि कुछ लोग ये करते हैं कि एक अपना जिस तरह मूड कोर्ट्स में बहुत ज्यादा पार्ट लिया है, तो अगर उनके कोच या जो भी उनके साथ अटैच रहे हो, एक उनसे लिखवाएं, क्योंकि वो एक होता है कि एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर उसमें आ जाएगा, और एक होता है प्रोफेसर जिनसे आपने बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ा होता है. अगेन फखरुद्दीन राइट, यू डोंट रियली नीड, बहुत जरूरी नहीं है कि आप हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट से ही लो या फिर कोई टीम से लो. Maybe it will not even be to your advantage because it will not be very specific to you, but if it is, go ahead and use it. So that's for that. And in general, just be smart about your application. Do your research about what the scholarship is, who it's about, who's going to be reading your application, why you need it. You need to do all of that homework first and then start working on your statements and everything. And I'm sure you'll all, get something good out of it. And good luck.
All right. So thank you so very much, Fargana. Thank you so very much, Fakhruddin. Thank you for joining us for today's session. We truly hope कि इन दोनों की एडवाइस, इनके एक्सपीरियंस और इन्होंने जो सब चीजें आपसे शेयर की वो आपके काम आएंगी इस एप्लीकेशन प्रोसीजर में, particularly those who are applying for the 2021 application, जिसकी डेडलाइन भी है अभी. एंड फॉर दोज हु सीक टू फॉर दोज जिनके लिए फुलब्राइट एक नया एक्सपीरियंस है, तो वो दे कैन ऑलवेज अप्लाई नेक्स्ट ईयर. जो इस साल एलिजिबल नहीं है, नो वरीज, कंटिन्यू टू प्लान योर एप्लीकेशन एज बोथ ऑफ आवर गेस्ट्स मेंशन्ड, and there's always next year. So this was it from Digital Amicus today. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned. We're going to have similar conversations on similar subjects in the future as well. And Fargana and Fakhruddin, we hope to collaborate with you on different projects in the future as well. So we look forward to
Thank you.
more partnerships with you in the future. Thank you so very much. So signing off from Digital Amicus. Take care. Allah Hafiz.